The brand new Digimon Vital Bracelet BE and Digivice VV are both now out, or slowly working their way out depending on who you ordered with. And as it is December and Christmas, the holiday season is upon us, you might be wondering whether to get yourself the new Vital Bracelet BE or Digivice VV for yourself or a loved one. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing and kind of proposing a should you buy guide to the new Vital Bracelet BE. Happy holidays! What is up, holiday companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to Karn's 12 videos of Christmas. So ironically, for a big fat guy, I'm actually most invested in the Vital Bracelet line of Digimon V-Pets, or I guess generalized V-Pets now, with tokusatsu like Kamen Rider and Ultraman, and even Tokyo Revengers and Demon Slayer and things like that upcoming. And like potentially any property is on the table at this point, especially ones that Bandai has worked with prominently, so who knows. So I want to dive into the actual devices themselves, and then try and sort of posit whether I think you should buy it or not, depending on what kind of person you are. Yes, I bought both of these, and this video is not sponsored to give the fairest comparison and to let you know all your options at the end. So straight out the gate, unlike the Vital Bracelet and the Digivice V, there is no functional difference between these two devices. The Digivice VV is just a unique version of the BE, with these more kind of Kamen Rider decayed pinky straps and the Dual V logo. And that is the case with all Vital Bracelet BEs. The black and white ones, the Dual V, the Tokyo Revengers, the My Hero Academia. Basically what the difference is, what you're paying for depending on the item, is the included BE memory or memories and the straps. But also, there are multiple straps available that you can buy separately. I will say this time around, these straps are a lot nicer. They're a little bit longer, more like the Kamen Rider VB length, so they do actually fit my big fat wrists. And the strap plastic or rubber does feel different between the BE and the Dual V. This feels a little bit more like the original Vital Bracelet or the Digivice V, whereas this feels more unique, especially because it's semi-transparent or translucent. I think this should mean that most people will be able to wear these without modifications, although I have found over the past couple of days, when I've had to put my hand into a position like this, like say I'm reaching for something, or I like knock it against a door or something, they do tend to ping off because I am on the last nodule, but you know, they fit me out of the box, which is great. In comparison to the previous Vital Bracelet versions, this is slightly less thick in profile than the VB and Digivice V. It's not by a huge amount that they've reduced the form factor, but it is enough that I feel like I am catching it on things less and less. I felt like whenever I walked through anywhere, I was always banging my Vital Bracelet and Digivice V on stuff, whereas I will occasionally catch my BE or Dual V on stuff. It happens way less. Feels almost as comfortable as a Fitbit, even though they haven't actually reduced the overall size that much. So when you boot this up, first of all, you're going to have to hold the side button. There is no switch this time, which ties into the IPX4 water resistance. Once you do hold the confirm button and power it on, you'll be greeted with a very simple screen. And this is something important to know. The actual base BE, the Vital Bracelet BE, does not come with any BE memories or DIM cards, but you kind of get a default Wii Sports style avatar of your own, so you can use the device without any memory inserted, which is really interesting. You can do, you know, your stats, your training, you can get your steps in, your vital points just as yourself. And indeed, when you press the bottom button on the home screen, you can see the past days that you have exercised. Today, 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days ago. Obviously, there is a different font this time around, more italicized looking, and the home screen still tracks your vital points and your steps. Pressing on the top button gets you to status, which shows you a new plethora of stuff for your character, showing him his limit, his rank, his general information, all of the stats which BE memory characters now have, his existing stats, this current evolution stats, like again its vital points, its battles, its win percentage, and its BP, and then all of the potential evolutions with the evolution guide for how to get them. Then the rest is fairly standard. We've got training. These are the same exercises that you're used to from the Vital Bracelet and the Digivice V: squats, crunch, punch, and dash. But now, instead of just giving you trophies, each training type gives you a different stat boost for your current character. But this does have one downside that I'm not particularly fond of that we'll get to in a little bit. Then there's Adventure Mission, again we'll get to that later. Characters, where you can select up to 4 other characters, plus the 5th being your kind of default Wii Sports guy. Connect, which lets you connect to App Link, and something called Spot, which was only introduced in the Toku Vital Bracelets and we still really haven't seen functionality for. And then General System Settings. The system itself lets you do the heartbeat reset, which used to be on the sort of main menu originally of the old Vital Bracelets. This changes your wallpaper. You get the 3 default ones, and then the 4th is the one on your BE memory or DIM card. Brightness settings from 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sound on and off, still no volume choice unfortunately. Time, and there is also an all reset if you want to get rid of everything. the option to add a new memory. There's also no versus memories because of the new arena app, and then you can power off. So as I said, that spot thing is something that I am not used to and can't find a ton of documentation for, but was introduced definitely in the Kamen Rider and Ultraman VBs. Or at least I know that my friend IC had it on his Ultraman one. I actually can't remember if my Kamen Rider one did. This appears to be some kind of GPS location-based thing. Maybe kind of like the raid battles in Pokemon Go? I'm not entirely certain, but I really hope Bandai Namco actually leans into this. These devices are also supposed to be updatable via SD card, and indeed when you go into the menu, you can see what current version of firmware your B or Digivice Dual V is on. Which presumably means in future they will roll out manual updates that you can do yourself, and potentially this could mean a huge opening up in the modding community. Custom firmware, things like that are totally possible, I would imagine. Although Bandai is probably also putting a lot of things in the way of that, but I do know that so far people have been able to put on their own custom DIMMs that they've made with custom sprites, and it works just fine on the Dual V and the B, but of course will not work in the app. It'll just revert to whatever Digimon it's supposed to be. So I'll say right off the bat, the explained evolution requirements being on the device itself is dope. It really cannot be overstated how much more satisfying it is to know which Evos I can get, and how, without guessing, using the app or having to use the internet with guides like Humulos. Of course, Humulos's guides are hugely important, but they are basically a result of the fact that Bandai has made it hard to know how you're supposed to get evolutions in these products. Now, I will say, of course, some of the fun is not knowing what you're going to get. So if you're the kind of person that likes to explore for the first time, you might want to just ignore your stat screen, I guess. Because I know personally, sometimes I do like to randomly get Digivolutions and things like the Brick V pets and stuff like that. But for someone that's been using the Vital Bracelet for like the best part of 2 years now, I just want to know what I can evolve my Digimon to next without having to transfer to an app or go into a guide on the internet. I will also say in regards to evolution, the branches of the B memories is a night and day change from the very limited DIM cards, especially having multiple rookies due to Adventure Mission, though having to unlock the rookies from Adventure Mission before you can go through them does make it a little bit tiring. For example, on the Dual V I started with Gamamon, then I had to get strong enough with my Digimon to be able to clear Adventure Mission before I could unlock Monmon and Bokomon, but now whenever I go back, because I sync to the app and it does work just great, if I start a new egg with the Gamamon B memory, I do have the option to go to Monmon and Bokomon. And that does mean Adventure Mission is a lot more worthwhile because you unlock new evolution routes or new evolution potential pretty much every other mission, and that is quite exciting, especially if you haven't checked out the memories lineups beforehand. It can be quite surprising to see the Digimon that are on these B memories. There's something that is slightly annoying about this now, is that whenever you finish an Adventure Mission, it doesn't automatically roll over to the next one. So if you clear stage 1, it doesn't enroll you straight away into stage 2. It goes back to confirm, and if you don't confirm in time, it kicks you back to the main menu, which in some ways is good because it means that you can kind of take a break without feeling like you're having to manually stop Adventure Mission. I know some people were worried that they'd lose their progress if they cancelled Adventure Mission halfway through on the old Vital Bracelets. So this does, I think, make some sense in kind of reassurance to a user, but can be a little bit annoying if you forget to put your guy back onto Adventure Mission and you've got a bunch of steps in, look down, and oh, he's just on his regular old screen, not the Adventure Mission. And speaking of characters, actually loading your DIM card, VBM card, or B memory is absolutely plain sailing. Admittedly, it is still pretty slow. It takes like a good minute for it to get the data transferred. Being able to choose on the fly between a Digimon, a Kamen Rider, an Ultraman, or an anime character is just way nicer than having all these little locked off apps and individual devices. Yes, theoretically in the past you could put a VBM card into a Digimon Vital Bracelet and it would work reasonably well, but you wouldn't be able to do things like transfer to the Kamen Rider app or anything like that, so it was ultimately a kind of flawed experience. This has really unified it. And so while there are some issues with the arena side of things, if you have all of your old DIM cards from Digimon, your VBM cards from Tokusatsu, they will all work on these devices, all of them. And I do see a lot of people that are mad that the original VB, Toku VBs, etc. are now kind of obsolete because of these, and why wasn't it like that at launch? But I think that's just kind of a universal constant with all technology. To me, it kind of feels the same as asking why Apple didn't just release the iPhone 4 first in 2006, you know? Bandai probably learned a lot from the VB's release and the feedback that they received during it that they maybe never would have considered at launch, which is why the B has these features now. And so with that kind of accessibility in mind, I do want to say that the Vital Bracelet B and the Dual V are completely usable to English speakers. The basically only things you're going to see in Japanese are Digimon names. Everything else is completely usable, and the Vital Bracelet Arena app is already completely in English, and we'll get to that in a second. So it's not technically a 100% English product, but it is functionally completely usable if you speak English or can understand basic English. Obviously, I'm Pasty White Boy, so I also can't verify the darker skin tone problem that was very prevalent with the old Vital Bracelets. I did hear that the Vital Hero and even the Kamen Rider VBs were better with that, but obviously I won't know that until someone who actually has darker skin tone can verify verify it. If someone lets me know in the comments, I will pin their comment, just letting you know like what is going on with the darker skin tone people if people are aware of it already. Hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Bandai has worked something out. So let's get to some stuff that is not so great. Why is there no USB-C, Bandai? They have done so much to make this device great, and yet it's still using micro USB. And yeah, it comes bundled with its own tiny little micro USB cables that it wants you to charge off your computer, but of course I'm going to charge off the power. Like, why would I leave my computer on overnight to charge my VB? There's no point. Charging off the main, I see some people worried about this. I have always charged my VBs off the main. I have power strips that have USBs in them. Works fine. Don't worry, you'll be fine. You will not fry your VB, probably. I mean, okay, legally I can't say that you definitely won't, but I've never had a VB fry from it. The water resistance is better than the base unit. I feel like now if I wash my hands, as long as I'm careful, I'm not going to fry my device, but I really feel like IPX6 or 7 should have been the goal here, realistically, especially with like all of the new rubber segments that are all over the place. I kind of understand why for the price point it wouldn't be that, but they really did open the marketing with a lot of water imagery, so it's kind of funny that it's only IPX4 water resistant, which basically means splashes from any direction. You can't submerge this thing. You're not going to be able to go swimming with this. You're not going to be able to dunk your hand into the dishes to, you know, wash the dishes. Like, you can probably wash your hands and go out in the rain in it at best. The battery is also still pretty decent, though I think it does drain slightly faster, or at least goes from 3 bars down to 2 bars a lot quicker. I wore both of mine, battle, train, did adventure mission, etc. all day long for about 13 to 14 hours, and that got each down to about 1 bar of battery, or fluctuating between 2 and 1 out of those 3 bars. And that is when I went to bed. So I can't fully say if that, like, let's say 1.5 bars of battery would have lasted another hour or another 6, you know? I'm not going to be up 24 hours to test it, and I obviously can't tell how long. Like, if I go to sleep and don't put it on charge, that's also kind of a fudged number, but it certainly is going to get you through an entire day as long as you fully charge it before you go out. Another downside is that the battles on the actual device are still pretty boring. On a lot of other VPETs, you're able to hold a button to kind of skip to the conclusion of the battle. It's all simulated anyway, so they can just cut to that. The B still does not let you do that, so you've got to watch the whole battle unfold, which is very time consuming, but there are a couple of things that have been added. First of all, the training that you do in training actually affects how well you perform in the device battles and the Vital Bracelet arena battles, boosting your HP, your attack points, your power points, things like that. So there is a legitimate reason on the battle side of things to train your Digimon or train your character. I also don't believe this was a feature before, because I never saw it in the old Vital Bracelets, but I had Gamamon active and the Regulusmon that I've been training for the past few days in backup. When I was fighting this Gamamon, suddenly in the like last hurrah of the battle, Regulusmon showed up to assist my Gamamon. I'm pretty sure this is new to the B because I've never seen it in other devices, like I say, and this would tie into the whole idea of like a main and a vanguard that you get in the Vital Bracelet Arena app, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but it was just insane to me. I was like totally not expecting it, and it did actually liven up a battle that I thought was pretty boring, so that was a point in their favor. And back to the training, all of the evolutions requiring PP, aka the only exercise that gives PP, squats, is just so lame. With both the Imperialdramon B memory and the Gamamon one, all of the evolutions only require PP, so you have to do like a bunch of squats that give you 1 or 2 points per exercise to get an evolution, and some of these evolution requirements are 12, 20 PP, so you could have to do between like 10 and 20 individual squat sessions just to get one Digimon, which is kind of annoying. I'm hopeful in future there may be a way, whether it's with a firmware update or just a regular B memory, that some Digimon will require a different stat to be boosted, like their HP or their AP, but I'm not sure if the architecture has that in that right now. So while training has gotten better for battles, it's gotten way more boring for evolutions because you just have to do squats. That's your only option. Kind of annoying. And also on the evolution side of things, in cases where you get Gulus Gamamon, for example, it appears you can just hit a total dead end on your first run. I went for Gulus Gamamon because he's my favorite and because it's the laziest route. And then his potential evolutions are an adventure mission Evo, which was locked to me because I'd only just got my first champion, or Regulusmon. And as I remind you, the adventure mission and battles in general can be quite tough. So by the time I got Regulusmon, that was my dead end. There was no mega option for me that the Vital Bracelet was telling me maybe there's a Jogress or something that I need to do. The only option I had was adventure mission, but it was locked, and it was a mega level adventure mission Digimon, meaning that I almost certainly couldn't unlock it with Regulusmon, even if I fully Rocky Montage trained him up, you know? And even at that point, Regulusmon, even with training, was still getting his ass handed to him by like really basic Digimon. On my B, I currently had a Paildramon, and when I was fighting XVmon and Stingmon, they were kicking my ass because I wasn't fully trained up. It was crazy. But battles brings us to the Vital Bracelet Arena app. The great news was that it was seemingly available in all territories entries in time for the BE to come out. In fact, before the BE came out. No more having to use QApp to try and install the VB Lab app when it wasn't available in your area or anything like that. But unfortunately, the VB Arena app is kind of ass right now, and it's one of the main reasons that I struggle to recommend people picking up the BE or the Dual V right now. Load times are incredibly slow. They got a little bit better with a launch update, but still take a long time between each menu. I feel like transferring back and forth between the Vital Bracelet and the app is also a lot more temperamental than it used to be, though you have to go through less screens to actually do it, but there's some weird UI things like having to hold a Digimon to then choose the option to send it. Some of it is just getting used to the app, but I also think some of it is just the app not being as good as the VB Lab app for transferring, but again, that will come with time. There is also currently zero BNID integration for this app, so there is really no way to transfer your Digimon from your VB Lab app to your VB Arena app without doing it manually. One by one from VB Lab to the VB, because as far as I can tell, you can't transfer from VB Lab to a BE right now, and then to the Vital Bracelet Arena app. Battles themselves, however, are much more improved in the VB Arena app, with defense and protection options, a unique little mini game for attacking, and even double attacks, spelt with a W, like Kamen Rider W. I've heard reports BNID support is coming, but the development team as it is actually Bandai Namco in-house, not the third-party developer Chariot who worked on the VB Lab app. So I'm guessing that Bandai Namco had to rush out this build to match the release date. Another thing that is a little bit annoying is that you are locked to segments within the Vital Bracelet Arena app. So while yes, it makes sense to me that Toku characters and anime characters would be separate, even Digimon Vital Bracelet and Digimon BE characters are separate, which is so annoying. Again, it makes sense because the BE memory characters are the ones that can have trainable stats, so it would be a little bit unfair, but also part of me kind of wishes, and maybe they'll add it in the future, that there'll just be like a free-for-all mode, where you can just have Deku fight fucking Regulusmon, you know, that would just be really cool. But for now, everything is really compartmentalized, which is, I get why, but is a little bit frustrating. Although I guess it's also nice for people that don't want their Deku to have to fight a Digimon, but you know. It does also seem pretty straightforward to sync Adventure Mission, like in the VB Lab. I transferred my Regulusmon to the app, and when I started a new Gamamon egg on the Digivice Dual V, the Adventure Mission rookies were already unlocked. So while trying to get footage of the rookie options, I did sync to my app and then transfer this guy back across, but for some reason Monmon and Bokomon are still locked despite an app sync, and I can only do Gamamon. Now, this is my BE, not my Dual V, so it could be there's some sort of system locks on unlock requirement. I've even transferred a Digimon that has done Adventure Mission, and I don't think it worked. I think this is just because I have two different devices. I think if you're just using one device, it should be fine. I will probably troubleshoot that in future. The app itself is a little bit more soulless than the VB Lab too, but it still has the codex now instead of the Digidex. I wonder why the name change happened. And while the app does say it has items, I can't find a way to unlock them, so things like Evo timer reductions or VP boost do not seem available in the VB Arena app right now. Storage also does not seem to be a thing that they care about anymore, and while I'm kind of glad they took away the capsules because resource management on the capsules was annoying, this retroactively, if they do eventually get rid of the VB Lab app, makes the whole capsule system completely redundant, and that's bad because a lot of later stage DIM cards boasted the fact that they had multiple capsules when you sync them to the app. So they're kind of making up for the Digimon Tamers GP DIMs by releasing the full DIMs with multiple capsules no longer matters. The VB Lab app also had a ton of problems at launch. It's just very early right now, and I think that makes it hard to recommend jumping on the train at the first station. Now, a lot of this fucking around and finding out is actually a ton of fun for me. Because it's so early into the release, it's kind of exciting. We don't have the level of documentation the VB does. It really reminds me of when the first VB came out. Obviously in time, possibly by the time this video comes out, Cumulos, people like that will have more definitive guides up. So right now it is a very familiar architecture, but also kind of like we're in the VB Wild West again. All that to say though, this to me is the definitive Vital Bracelet experience. It takes everything that they learned from the previous models and combines it into something wonderful. Working with, as I said, pretty much every card, I think even the Vital Hero cards, although someone's gonna have to fact check me on that in the comments below because I don't own a Vital Hero because they didn't release it in the UK. So should you buy the Vital Bracelet BE, the Dual V, or anything like that in these new releases? I think it depends. If you never bought a VB device before but wanted to, especially in time for Christmas, this is the one you should get, even over the Vital Hero in the US, as the Vital Hero is just kind of a weirdly reskinned Digivice V essentially. If you're not in particular a Digimon fan but are an anime fan, the My Hero Academia and Tokyo Revengers sets are coming or are already out, and those colors look great, so that'd be a really good place to jump in. If you already own a Vital Hero or Digivice V, I would say the upgrades, new features, and new Digimon do generally make the price more worth it, especially the base B model that does not include any B memories, as if you're not bothered about the new B memories, the unit price for the B is very cheap and will work with all your existing DIMMs. However, this is not a fully night and day experience, so perhaps wait until the Arena app gets better before making the jump. And if you only have a VB or a Toku VB, yes, get these. These are upgrades in every way. They are all the Digivice V upgrades and more. The Dual V is a slightly different version. As I said, the regular B doesn't come with any memories. There is a pre-order early purchase version of the Dual V, which comes with the Gammamon B memory and an Imperialdramon B memory, though the Imperialdramon B memory is a little bit more limited, with only one evolution line for Vmon and one adventure mission line for Wormmon. I think as the year goes on, you'll probably see that Imperialdramon B memory become very hard to get, which is very frustrating, but at least this does always come with the Gammamon B memory. So where to buy? I deliberately did not take a sponsor for this video so that I can deliberately break down this in the best way possible. Though I have my own personal opinions, I will try to be as kind of like upfront as possible on this. So the most straightforward way to purchase this is Amazon JP. They ship pretty much everywhere, the United States, the United Kingdom, and you do pay a premium for faster shipping, but it will probably arrive in a couple of days. However, Amazon's customer service is absolutely terrible. I have seen tons of Vital bracelets from the old releases, this releases, coming in really damaged boxes. Amazon do have a reasonably good refund policy though, so you probably could get your money back if your item was damaged or defective. I've also seen people that were cancelling their orders and still getting charged and received for them, so the speed of Amazon JP is their biggest factor, as well as a larger stock of items, but their customer service and handling side is mixed. But again, for a price and speed point of view, I understand that they present a good value. Then is Zenin TCG. I have been sponsored by Zenin before. This video is not sponsored by Zenin. They are a smaller company and they're based in Singapore, which means as a kind of like third party, they have to wait for Bandai to give them their stock, and Bandai wants that Amazon JP bucks, you know? So typically sites like Zenin will get the orders later. However, the counterpart for that is that they have a lot more options for delivery, customer service. They are actual Digimon fans. You will find them in Reddits and Discords and things like that actually talking to Digimon fans. Their prices are usually pretty reasonable, maybe slightly higher than Amazon JP for the base unit, but they do have like discounts and stuff. Again, not sponsored at all. I've not taken any money from them. I do have an existing relationship with them. I have been given no cash for this. So yeah, you will probably be waiting longer, depending on both how much you paid for. There are like faster shipping options, but also just when Bandai gives them that stock. If you don't care about when you get the item, you're not in a big rush, you're not like a stupid fucking content creator like me who has to get their video in time for the holidays, then that is an option. Another option is also Hobby Link Japan, who have a much more reduced section of Vital bracelet items right now. As of time of recording, they only have the Dual V and not the base B model or any of the anime Bs, whereas Amazon JP and Zenin have a much wider selection. So it really comes down to who you've used before. If you haven't used them before, how much you prioritize shipping versus like supporting smaller businesses versus price, etc, etc. But I would say Amazon JP, Zenin, and Hobby Link Japan are your three main options. There are also eBay resellers, but their prices are way higher. So should you get a Vital Bracelet B or Dual V in time for the holidays? Maybe. I am really enjoying the devices, and as I say, these are my go-to devices for the Vital Bracelet going forward, but they are far from perfect. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below any of the questions that I brought up during this video, like the skin tone issue or the Vital Hero, and let me know if you're going to be getting one of these devices, or if you have any other questions for me or the community. All of that down below. Huge shout out to my sovereigns, ZDK14 and Jmon, as well as all the names you can see on screen right now for supporting this channel with their hard-earned money. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.